Let's say that you're in a situation where you would really love to get a better job. I mean, who doesn't want to get paid more? Who doesn't want to work somewhere where they feel valued and they're having fun and they're making a difference? If you think you can't get a better job, are you going to apply? Nope. Are you going to do the work on your resume if you think, well, I can't get a better job? Nope, you're not. Are you going to network with your parents' friends or reach out to college friends so that you can get a better job? Not if you think you can't. Are you going to update your LinkedIn profile? Nope. Why? Because you think you can't. That mindset of thinking, I can't do that, stops you from taking action. And if you stop yourself from taking action because you think you can't do that, you're right. You can't do that. The mindset itself is what's stopping you from taking the actions that are going to get the result that you want. Now, let's flip it, okay? If you think you can get a better job, now what happens? Now you're opening the door to optimism, to hope. If you think you can get a better job by trying, you're going to want to try. You have a reason to try. You're going to feel more resilient. And that's an example of a simple saying that packs so much research around mindset and psychology into something that you can say to yourself over and over and over again. Because if you say to yourself, if I think I can, or I think I can't, I'll be right. One thing that you say, if I think I can, creates a mindset where you try. And when you try, that's what matters, because it's all in the trying that you create the results. And so here's how you apply this first little change so that you create surprisingly big results in your life. Just start telling yourself, I can do that. I can try that. I think I can change my attitude. I can improve my relationship with my spouse. I can get in better shape. I can learn this AI coding thing if I wanted to. Because if you think you can, you'll be right. Because you're going to be more likely to try. You're going to open up the door to all kinds of opportunities because now, just through that small little tiny shift in your mindset, I think I can, you will make the effort. So remember, the first tiny little change that creates a surprisingly big difference, we're talking domino effect here, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So by gosh, you better tell yourself you can. Now let's go right in to the second little change that I want you to make. And honestly, I can't believe I didn't stumble into this one sooner. And I don't even know who to give credit to for this, but we're just going to take it and run with it. So the little change number 2 is this. If you want to get 8 hours of sleep, spend 9 hours in bed. What the heck? That is so obvious. If you want to get 8 hours of sleep, spend 9 hours in bed. Do you know, I've spent my entire life thinking about getting 8 hours of sleep. I have been missing the obvious the entire time, and I bet you have too. Why did I not think about this? I mean, this is so kind of like one of those things. It's like, duh. You know, I'm the kind of person that if I think, okay, I want to get 8 hours of sleep tonight, I literally climb in bed at 10 o'clock at night, and then I set my alarm at 6 a.m. That's 8 hours. Do I get 8 hours of sleep? No, because it takes time to fall asleep. In fact, one of the world's most renowned researchers in the science of sleep is none other than Dr. Rebecca Robbins at Brigham and Women's Hospital right here in Boston, Massachusetts. It's one of Harvard's many hospitals in the Boston area. This is what she told me about the average time that it takes for someone to fall asleep.
We think that we just should be able to crawl into bed and flip our brains off like a switch. Wrong. Sleep is a process. And so falling asleep actually takes time and more than a lot of people realize. Even a healthy sleeper with no problems should take about 15 or 20 minutes to fall asleep.
I mean, 15 to 20 minutes on average if you have no problems. And when I was mentioning this little simple change, you want to get 8 hours of sleep, you better spend 9 hours in bed. My friend and one of the producers on the show, Amy, she looked at her kind of sleep data and she's like, well, no wonder I consistently track at 7 hours, 35 minutes. Why? Because like you and like me, she's climbing into bed at the exact time she thinks she needs to fall asleep, and then she sets her alarm for 8 hours later. we're not doing that anymore. You and I, we are making a little change that's going to have a surprisingly big impact. Instead of you and I focusing on getting 8 hours of sleep, nope, we're not going to do that. We're going to focus on spending 9 hours in bed. Doesn't that just shift your mindset right away? Simple change. Surprisingly big difference. And I want you to think about that in your own life. Think about it tonight. Instead of thinking that you need to get 8 hours of sleep, I want you instead to go, oh, I got to spend 9 hours in bed. And you want to know the cool thing? So let's just say that you're one of the lucky people that Dr. Rebecca Robbins was just talking about. You can fall asleep quickly. That's wonderful. 15, 20 minutes, bada bing, bada boom. If you think about being in bed for 9 hours and you fall asleep 20 minutes into climbing into that bed, and then you wake up 8 hours later, guess what? You got 40 minutes to spare, and you're now getting up even earlier than you thought. I mean, this is such a win for such a simple change. I just freaking love this. And while we're on the topic of sleep, I've got another little change that will make a huge difference in the quality of sleep and your ability to fall asleep. I call this the 5-10-20 rule. I'm going to break it down in a minute, but this relates to all of this research that's out there right now about getting light exposure first thing in the morning, and how if you get up and you get outside right away and you get exposure in your eyeballs right away, it resets your circadian rhythm, and that helps you sleep at night. Now, all this research is super duper exciting, but the second that you hear, okay, the moment you get up in the morning, one of the best things that you can do in order to get a better night's sleep at night is to get yourself outside and get those UVs into your eyeballs. If you're like me and you hear this research, you want to do it, but then you immediately have questions. You're like, how long do I need to be out there? What if it's raining? What if it's cloudy? What if I can't get outside? What do I do? How much light is too much light? How am I supposed to remember all this stuff? Simple. All you need to remember is that the research says in order to sleep better at night, I got to bank some sunlight first thing in the morning. I got that. That's why you're going to think of the 5-10-20 rule. Because when I hear 5-10-20, I think about getting cash at a bank. And when you go to a bank and you get cash, they give it to you in 5, 10s, and 20s. And I remember when I was younger and I was waitressing and I was a bar back, there would be nights where I would be the one closing down the restaurant and ending the shift. And I would have to tally all the cash and close it all out. And then they give you this big envelope that you zip. And then you go to the bank and you drop it into the night deposit box. And so 5, 10, 20, which is what was in that envelope. So when I would drop it off into the night deposit box, that was what was going into the bank. And for you and me, we got to bank either 5, 10, or 20. And here's how this works. If it's sunny outside, you need to be outside for 5. You got to bank 5 minutes. If it's cloudy, can you guess how much time you need? Bingo. Look how smart you are. 10. That's right. Give yourself 10 minutes outside if it's cloudy. And if it's rainy, how long do you think you need to be out on your porch? Boom. You got it. 20. That's the 5-10-20 rule. Sunny 5, cloudy 10, rainy 20. Or sit next to your window for 20 minutes. That's it. That's how you remember this research, that you got to bank UV light first thing in the morning to reset the circadian rhythm. And that helps you get a better night's sleep. And the 5-10-20 is a simple rule of thumb that you can follow that will help you apply it no matter what the weather is. Isn't that awesome? Little change, surprisingly big difference. And that brings me to number 4. Now, Henry David Thoreau said, an early morning walk is a blessing for the whole day. Your friend Mel Robbins is telling you, a little walk is a solution to 93% of your problems. I'm going to explain this. Let's just say you got a report due at work. You've been working on it. It's super stressful. It's due in literally a couple hours and your head is spinning. You're so overwhelmed. That's a problem. The deadline is looming. Your head is spinning. The solution to that problem, to feeling overwhelmed in that moment, it's to take a walk. Because in that situation, you don't think you have time, but the truth is you don't have time to waste sitting there spinning. And a 10-minute walk is the solution to that problem because it's going to reset your mind. This is all based on research. It's going to improve your productivity. It'll spark new ideas so that when you walk back in and you sit down, boom, you're ready to focus and you will get that puppy done. Let me give you another one. Let's say that the person that you've been seeing suddenly sends you a text and says, I've been thinking, this isn't going to work out. That's a problem. You're heartbroken. You're disappointed. Maybe you're super annoyed that they did it by text. Instead of firing off an angry response or sitting there with that text message feeling like a rejected loser, because what's going to happen if you do that? You're either going to send something that you regret or you're going to get completely overwhelmed by your emotions, and that's going to make you feel even worse. What is the solution to the disappointment that you feel when you get a text like that out of the blue? I'll tell you the solution. Take a little walk. Because walking lifts your mood. It reduces the intensity of the disappointment. It also allows you to step away and get objectivity from that thing that immediately stressed you out, which was that text message. And it creates a break from the flood of negative emotions. And as you're out there walking, the rhythm of the movement and the change of the scenery can help you clear your mind. It makes it easier for you to gain perspective and calm down and start to move forward and actually choose what you're going to do as the response instead of acting out of reaction, which you're always going to regret. I have 9 simple changes that I'm going to share with you today that are going to make a surprisingly big difference in your life. They're super easy to remember. It's almost like these are little life hacks that sit on top of the latest and most amazing research on how you can improve various aspects of your life. And I guarantee you, you'll be able to do most of them today.